everyone, I'm Margie O'Brien with Capital TV and welcome to another Capital Spotlight. The Central Coventry Fire Department has been in the news for years, and one of the changes was facilitated by this woman, Representative Patricia. Thanks for being here. So let's talk about the problem that existed and how you brought about change.
The district had consolidated to save money, and it was just the opposite effect. The personnel went up 80%. The budget actually, or the tax bill, doubled in 6 years, and then the people were looking at a 65% tax increase, and that's when it broke. So they went into bankruptcy, and it was 7 years ago.
Is it rare for a district organization like that to go into bankruptcy in the beginning?
Well, there was one in Lincoln that also went into bankruptcy, but all I can speak to is Central Coventry. 7 years, they've been in and out of courtrooms, both state and federal, 2 receivers, horribly raucous meetings. The board has taken a beating, quite frankly. They've been threatened, they've been vandalized, all kinds of bad things have happened. But there's good news.
Just to interrupt, was the problem that someone wasn't in charge, wasn't overseeing this for it to have gotten so bad?
There was a problem, and it was that the people of that district assumed that the board was taking care of business and doing the right things. But you can't assume that. Citizens have to be engaged. They have to pay attention. They have to get to meetings, and they have to make sure that the right things are happening in every layer of government, right? Whether it's the tiny little fire district or the town councils or here at the state level. When people are engaged, then it's a representative democracy. We're reminded who we're serving.
So what changes were made and how were you part of that?
So this is really good news. The people, the district right now, the fire board has stuck together, and they've gone through this long, really problematic process. But at this point, the district is debt-free. The people have gotten a 20% tax cut.
Wow.
They have 2 new ambulances and a new fire engine completely paid for, right? The budget, the annual budget, has shrunk, right? Things are really good there. And to keep it, to make sure that this success doesn't get frittered away when this board leaves and a new board takes over, the board came together and they devised some charter changes. If you put these things in a charter, they're harder to break. And they're really common sense things. So a 4% tax cap, just like municipalities. So their bills can't go up by any more than 4% a year. Because debt was a real problem, they put a limit of 15% on debt. So you can't go out and buy $1 million ladder truck that you don't need.
And that you can't afford. Do the amendments also call for greater responsibility from the board, greater accountability?
Yes. So there were changes there. There are more things for transparency. So before a meeting, you have to post it, not just in 3 tiny little places that nobody goes to, but everywhere, in the newspaper, on bulletin boards in front of the fire stations. You also have to have 100 people in a meeting to vote. Right now it's 25, and you can understand how easy it is for a special interest group to kind of take over when it's 25. With 100, you have to make sure that people know so they will come. Quite frankly, at one point they had 1,800 people show up for a meeting, but consistently about 250 people come. When you have that many people engaged, it's harder for a district to go off the rails like this one did. So we need to get these charter changes passed. That's the news. I mean, we really need to get it through in this session and make sure that the financial stability of this district is secured way into the future.
And for folks at home who are watching this interview thinking, well, I don't live in Coventry, it really doesn't impact me, is the bigger picture that every sort of district organization, state organization, have the same feeling that you can't let things go. Things can't go off the rails.
Right. You know, there's so many fire districts around, and we know that town councils are sometimes struggling, and it really is about people staying engaged, right, and running for office. right? The people who were on this fire board, they were just common people, and they just said, "We had enough. Something's wrong here." Right? We can't have a 65% tax increase. So they showed up, they got involved, and other people supported them. And that's when you get better government.
Representative Patricia Morgan, I think the big messages here is get engaged. This is another Capitol Spotlight. I'm Margie O'Brien for Capitol TV. We'll see you next time.